So I think it's really super competitive out there for buyers. And I wanted to sort of have a collaborative conversation, not only as we kind of develop different thinking patterns of how we're going to win the bids, but also to bounce ideas off of each other. So I have put together some questions. We'll talk about it, and hopefully this helps some people setting the expectations for how to win the bid in Q4 2020, because it's super competitive, right? I mean, you guys are out there. What are you seeing?
I'm seeing that everything goes offers over ask at the minute. And when I say offers over ask, I mean like 5,000 above is not really what I mean. I mean like tens of thousands of above. So it's pretty crazy.
I just got off the phone with another agent, and the property was a two-family priced at 459, and just based on our experience on Tuve, priced at 550. I'm seeing things going like 50 to 75,000 over ask. So I asked him to share with me how much over and what the delta was, and he was pretty much saying same. So I think if the buyers are thinking they're gonna say bid two or $10,000 over, it's just not going to work. So, are you guys seeing the same thing? In
Yeah.
general, with one client, how many offers are you putting in before they win a house?
That depends on how aggressive they are as a buyer. Are they ready to really enter this market strongly, or are they still a little timid and scared and don't really want to maybe believe you or understand what you're trying to tell them? So it really depends on the buyer. But even still, with a strong buyer, you could probably miss out on two or three houses before you get the one, in my experience.
Yeah, how many are you guys missing out on before you finally nail one?
Well, I've had a few people that, they're looking at the listing price and they're not really prepared to go that high over. So I think, setting the expectation of maybe looking at prices that are 50,000 less than what they're thinking so that they have the room to go up. That's something that we have to start saying.
Rhonda, what are you seeing?
I agree with Michelle and Matt. First, it depends on the buyer and how anxious they are to get into some place, or if they're comfortable where they are right now and they're still just sort of shopping around and think like Michelle said, that the listing price should be the price. And I like Michelle's idea there. Just go less than when you're shopping with them so that they're prepared to go up to that higher number. So yeah, I've had the same thing. And I've had two families that have lost couple of houses and they're just not there yet. They just haven't wrapped their minds around the fact that this is where we're at right now. So It's hard.
So let's talk about, are you doing buyer consultation? And I feel like there's two different ways to do that. I feel like there's, let's sit in the office and let's go through what your expectations are and kind of paint the picture for what the market's like. And there's the second sort of buyer's consultation that you're doing on the road. So I think they both serve the same purpose. So talk to me about what your top three things of conversation is as you set the buyer expectation up. Like, what are you talking about before you even go out on showing 2, 3, and 4? Who wants to talk first?
I'll go. I mean, I've been telling them that, reminding them again that we're in a very competitive market. And if they see something they like and it's something that they want to put an offer in on, and then they see that, they go home and they're like, oh, we really want it. And if they lost it, how would they feel? So how aggressive do you want to be right off the gate? And a lot of these places are calling for final and best almost immediately now.
Right.
So I tell them that and remind them that if it's something you like, you really need to think about it right away and make an offer and make it strong from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. Matt, how are you handling those things?
I think you said something about buyer's consultation first. So I like to try and do a buyer's consultation. I don't really like doing it in the office or anywhere because I think that's too stuffy. I like to go to a coffee shop or somewhere that's fun where we can feel relaxed, hopefully outdoors, and just do that sort of thing. So I like to do that consultation. But for me, if I can get them there, because sometimes they're too busy. So sometimes you just have to meet at the house for the first time or whatever it might be. And that's fine. That's fine as well. But give me 10 minutes afterwards so we can chat. But I think for me, I really want to tell them, I want to find out what their motivation is. Like, if you really need to know their motivations, why they're buying, what is the number 1, 2, or 3 things that they're really doing this for? Because you can really tell if they really do want to move quickly from their motivations and some things that might be bothering them or what they want in life, and then set expectations from there. So, once I know their motivations, we can set the expectations of what I'm going to provide and what I can do for them, and they're going to do the same, reciprocate, and generally you're all on the same page. So then you'll find out if you're in a multiple offer situation, you know how hard to push them if you have to, or to get them there. So that's my way.
Anybody else want to add to that? So let's talk about this. You're out, everybody's excited. We see a house that we love, but the buyer is nervous and they want to sleep on it. How do you walk them through the steps of that process when we're doing final and best within 3 days and the house has been on the market for 2 days already and final and best is like tomorrow at 9 a.m.? How are you guys talking them through that sleeping on it component, which is a very legitimate point? I get it. You don't want to make a decision abruptly, but what are you doing to build trust? Because it's really a matter of, are they trusting you that you're doing the right thing by them? Who wants to take that question?
I mean, if you keep asking who wants to ask the question, I'll just continually answer first every time. So I feel like I'm going to give,
Listen,
I feel like I'm going to give the girls some leeway. Yeah. Go, Michelle. You got it.
It's okay. You go ahead.
Matt,
I'll get the train going by. So.
I hear the train.
Go ahead, Matt, talk.
No, I don't know. Rhonda, you do it. Go.
Well, I'm not really a good pressure person, and I understand people wanting to sleep on it. But again, I think it goes back to what you said. Meeting with them, knowing what's driving them with this. Do they need to find something, do they need to close on something in the next 3 months? Then if you do, you need to go in and you need to be strong right now, tomorrow, for final and best. If it's something where you have time and I don't want to say it doesn't matter. If you have time and, you're okay with letting this one go, then all right, you have a little time to maybe sleep on it or whatever. But I tell them, honestly, I've told them you have to be aggressive. And I think, like Matt said, it depends on what's driving them to this point, right? I had clients that are willing to pay, $30,000 over asking price because they needed to get out of their parents' home. And then I have some other people that are renting and they're okay with that for right now until they find the perfect spot. So I think it just depends on your clients.
How do you, Rhonda, handle when it's a competitive house and they want to try to go in under that asking price? How are you handling that conversation?
Well, it actually happened to me in Oakland on a house. They wanted to go in. One couple thinks that if it's at listing price, that should be the price, right? They think if that's what the people are asking for, that should be the price. But I've tried to tell them that in this market, that's like a suggested price now. Like, that's not necessarily what it's going to be. But it's really hard sometimes to tell them that. So sometimes they're willing to take that chance and they go in just at asking price. And sometimes people think that their terms are going to help them facilitate that, no contingencies or the waive inspection, but that doesn't always work. I think in this market, you have to go over ask if you want it.
So when you're framing those offers and it's really competitive and you have a feeling based on your conversation with the listing agent that this is going to go way over ask and they're capped out at number X, how do you put a package together that's somewhat attractive to the other side, right? Because at the end of the day, it's definitely mostly about money. No seller's going to walk away from $20,000, irregardless of a beautiful letter or a video you sent. So what are the components that you guys are putting together as a package representing that buyer and trying to win the bid?
Well, I'll talk. Since you mentioned about speaking to the listing agent, that's something that we seem to be doing a lot more of, is calling them and finding out what's most important to their sellers. And if, you know, any information they can give us, we could try to work with our buyers to tailor their offer to meet those needs, whether it be asking for less on inspection or asking for nothing on inspection, or if they don't have a house to sell, whatever the seller is looking for, we try to meet whatever of those and put that in the package.
Matt, you want to add to that?
I mean, I like to try and act professional with the listing agent, right? Or like you've got it on a professional level with them. They're going to know that you're not there to waste time or not have an educated buyer that you're bringing. So I really want to like connect with the listing agent and let them know who I am as a realtor and the team that we are. And I want them to know all about my buyer. I want them to know exactly what their job is and how long they've been there and things like that. But I really want to connect with that listing agent, get that rapport, because I honestly feel like even when we have listings, we want to work with people who are, you know, on our level as well, that are, we know are going to put the time and the effort into to get the closing table, right? So I really want to do that with the listing agent. Of course, I want to put the package together as best I can. I want to, you know, write a letter or a video, and I want to do all those things as well. But it's really letting the other realtor know that you're a good realtor to work with, and it's going to make their job a lot easier. So I think that's really important too.
Great. So I'm always of the mind that transparency is the better way to deal with any opposing broker that you're working with. And I believe that as a team, our reputation in the industry is super solid. And so a lot of times, like, we'll frame it so to say to the other agents, the buyer's agents, that, you know, what's most important to the seller in this order is the price. Can you remove home inspection or waive home inspection? Can you remove a mortgage contingency? All of those things. And they're not all deal makers or breakers, but the better you can build that package. Then the other component is, you know, there's no agent that's in control of the buyers or the buyer's attorney. And I feel right now, and I don't know if you guys are feeling this, but I feel the attorneys don't really understand the market conditions and how aggressive it is. And sometimes we're faced, or I've been faced with, you know, an attorney making recommendations that ultimately could blow up the deal. Have you guys had those experiences? What was your worst experience like that, and how did you overcome it? Rhonda?
Oh,
Skip that one.
I don't know if I want to go there right now.
So one of the things that I just recently experienced was having a situation where there's multiple offers and then trying to set it up so that where we feel that there could be truth, and securing that truth would be beneficial. So one of the things that I've thrown out to other buyers agents is, are your clients willing, if they're really saying they're removing inspections and limiting to structural and environmental, are they willing to put $5,000 that's non-refundable into an escrow account? And if they ask for those other things and the seller says no, then at that point the seller can walk away and keep the $5,000. And believe it or not, that actually worked, because it almost like puts somebody's honor on the line. Like, it's going to keep them in check, because I think one of the things that's been frustrating me is the offers come in with structural and environmental inspection items only, and then you get like 20 other things on the list that they're asking for. So how do you guys handle that from, you know, the buyer's agent perspective? If you're working with a buyer, how do you set that up?
I haven't had that happen yet.
You haven't had that? Good thing.
I have not had that happen yet, so I don't know.
That means you guys are really great agents that have full control of a transaction. That makes me happy. Matt, have you had any?
No, Matt, have you had that?
Huh?
Yeah,
Has Maddie
yeah,
had that?
recently with the two family. Yeah, I had that with the two family. I had that with that buyer, but you know, it's nothing you can really do if a buyer's set to their mind that they want something, and it's not like I can twist their hand and say, you
Right.
know, you can try and educate them and try and, you know, say this is not going to work. But if they're set on something, they're set on something. So you have to support their needs. You know, like you've got to
Absolutely.
be there for
You
them.
have to
So
represent, even
it was-
though, yeah. So let's talk about agent to agent relationships, right? There's some agents that are maybe a little bit more aggressive, more demanding, and then there are agents that are more thoughtful and patient. Who do you guys like to work with more? What wins the race? What wins the race?
Awful and patient.
I go with
not the
thoughtful and
aggressive
patient
ones.
too.
Was that? Matt, what did you say?
Definitely not the aggressive ones. They're horrible to work with.
They make it horrible to work with.
Yeah, and then they back it up with a horrible attorney.
Yes, 100%.
I always
I've had
feel
that
like
happen.
in any negotiation, there should be a win-win, right? And I think truthfulness is so critical to making the transaction end in a happy place, you know, even when you don't think so right at that juncture where there may be more demands, but really just keeping that transparency and honesty, I think really makes the biggest difference.
The deal I'm working with right now in Oakland, for example, if I didn't have a compassionate and thoughtful realtor on the other side, it probably would have fallen apart 5 more times since then. But because the buyer's agent is so kind, thoughtful, respectful, between the two of us, we have kept it together. So in the first time, it didn't stay together, but I didn't have a buyer's agent that was thoughtful and respectful. She was just very, you know, difficult. And this is the difference between it staying together and it falling apart. It's still together. So that's because of the buyer's agent, in my opinion. On this
So my tip to any buyer is find an agent that's thoughtful and respectful. That's really going to win you the race, because I'm going to tell you that I don't like to work with the ones that are demanding and aggressive, you know? So
at the end of the day, I always try also to put myself, listen, we're humans too. We've bought and sold our own homes personally, right? So I want to work with someone that's going to listen to my needs too, right? As a buyer, right? If I was not an agent, you want to work with someone that's going to listen to you and hear what you're saying, you know, and represent you in a good light.
and that's not to say that you can't have really good, solid negotiations, but I think what happens is when somebody gets demanding and aggressive, the other side just tends to want to push back even harder. So you're going to ultimately end up with a lot less.
Well, then it's not a negotiation, is it? When someone's that rigid and it's not really a negotiation, then it's just two people pissing each other off, I guess. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
that's it.
exactly. You're right. You're 100% right. So when you're representing a buyer, if you have no guidance from the listing agent and they're just saying, hey, throw your offer on the table, we're doing final and best and we'll make a decision, and they will not give you any intel at all, any guidance, what are the top 3 things that you think are important laterally to all sellers? Top 3 things.
Money. So you just have to tell your client to just go home and sleep on it, to really think about how much extra can I pay. So money, maybe waive the appraisal. I've seen a lot of that lately, and that seems to be a really big winner, because these offers are going so much above ask that, is it going to appraise? Is it always a worry? They all seem to be appraising though too, which is great. Like they're all actually
up. I'm finding that interesting, because as the properties are closing, the prices are moving up. So there's technically like limited amount of comps. I find they're appraising as well.
Yeah, it's like the appraisers know what's happening. They're on top of it, and so actually appraising, which is good. You two for the last one.
Good. Michelle, Rhonda, top things that you have to come up with that are important to a seller if you're not getting any guidance from your opposing broker.
I agree exactly with Matt. It's money.
Money. And money
I agree.
Because here's the thing, to Matt's point, if they don't waive the appraisal, they could come back for a price adjustment. So that
Correct.
goes back into money. And of course, you know, waiving any inspection contingencies or
And
more.
maybe just looking at how soon they are hoping to close, try to work with whatever you can come up with that they've given.
I
How
think the
about,
hardest thing is some of the buyers. Oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I think the hardest thing for me with a couple of my clients right now, they're first time home buyers, right? So for them to waive a home inspection
It's scary.
it's mind blowing to them. They feel like it's it's a right, a passage to buy a home. You need to know what you're getting. So for a couple of my buyers, that's really, really hard to wrap their heads around. And also, honestly,
What
too,
would outperform? What would outperform keeping the home inspection in there to win the bid?
I don't.
What, $20,000, right?
Yeah, I
More
mean,
money.
yeah,
A steak
exactly.
dinner with your realtor. Ooh.
What'd you say?
A steak dinner with your realtor.
Yeah. No, it's hard. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you guys have had. How do you get your first time buyers to waive a home inspection?
That's a first time home buyer. Come on, that's
Never gonna happen,
rare.
right?
No,
It's hard.
that's right. It would, a seasoned buyer or a person who's transacted, they're going to understand houses and homes and the
Right.
maintenance component. So they'll be able to walk away from that a little bit more comfortably, but maybe looping their parents into it.
Yeah.
You know, that could be an idea. Bring your parents. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, it's hard.
What are your top 3 tips to any buyer right now?
Be ready to move immediately
Yeah.
with your offer. Be ready to make it. Be ready to do everything. Get your pre-approval ahead of time before you even go.
Yeah, I just say don't sit around and wait. Like, oh, I'm going to the beach this weekend, or oh, that house will still be there on Tuesday. We'll see it on Tuesday, and it might be Friday night, and you're like, they might not even let you in by then. So I would just say, if you really are motivated to buy a house, be present. Be present every day to be there as soon as it comes on the market. So that you can be. You show that interest too. You show the listing agent that you really are, wanting to buy and you really want to do it. So, be ready.
Be ready.
Be ready. That's the final.
Be ready.
All right, so I guess I never introduced you guys at the beginning of this. So let me introduce you all to the team. This is the team. We have Michelle, Rhonda, and Matt. So if anybody has any questions for us, you can reach out to us at NewJerseyHomeNavigators.com. Or Matt, why don't you give out your cell phone number this time, since I'm always giving out mine. So go ahead.
Ooh, go Matt.
Well, no one can understand when I say numbers. It's a real issue I have in New Jersey, but I'll try anyway. 201-779-8193.
8193. Got it. All right, guys. I will see you all tomorrow. Have an awesome evening.
Bye.
Bye.